Praise the Lord, brothers and sisters, and thank you all for joining me. I hope you all are well. I hope you all are doing great. I am excited about the blessings of God, and I hope you are as well. Well, listen, brothers and sisters, we are here, and we are about to have a conversation on the idea of being free. All right, and I want you to join with me as we read through this text about freedom. And I'll give you my topic after that. But let's look at John chapter 8, verse number 31. And we're going to read verse 31 through verse number 32. I'm going to read from the New Living Translation. And you can follow along within your own translations, okay? He says here, Jesus says to the people who believed in him, "You are truly my disciples, if you remain faithful to my teachings. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." These are powerful words. And look, brothers and sisters, I'm not even going to hold you long today, okay? I have a simple, very simple message to give you. And I want to keep it simple because I want you to understand the power of it. When we look at the Bible, all throughout the Bible, there are ideas and imagery of slavery from the beginning to the end. There are positive ideas of slavery, if there ever are any, and I believe there are. And then there are absolutely negative ideas of slavery. One of the things that is very interesting about the way slavery is depicted is the fact that God's own people are submitted to slavery. And from their own experiences, God does not command them to abolish the institution, but to reform it. He teaches them how to institute slavery for the success of the ongoing nation that he is building. And there are so many things we can say about that, but that's not the point of this message. But the thing that is most interesting and is most compelling about what I would like to talk about today is the fact that God intended specifically for his people to be free. He specifically intended for his people to always be free, even if they were to be bound for a season. So one of the things I want to point out is that bondage is inevitable. We are always subject to some sort of bondage, at least for a period of time. But I do want to say that bondage should never be eternal. It should never be eternal, because when we think about the intention of God for this world, we find that he has provided means by which freedom can be gained. And the moment we forget that, it is the moment that we find it hard to reconcile the need, or excuse me, should we say the relevance and the presence even of slavery in the biblical narrative. But what I want us to see is that from the very beginning, the Lord gave an equation for how people can become free. It's called the year of Jubilee. 6 years a slave was to work, and on the seventh year, a Hebrew slave in particular was to be released, right? And the thing about this is that in that commandment is given a few options. The slave could be freed and let go, and life could begin anew as if he'd never been a slave. And he was to be given provision, things that he had helped come to pass by his service and labor over the last 6 years. Or he could stay a slave in the master's house and deny his rights to be free. Now, brothers and sisters, when I read this, I said to myself, why would a person deny freedom? Why would they deny the opportunity to be free? There was only 3 ways that a person could, for the most part, become a slave. The first thing would be that they were born into slavery. The second way would be that they had gotten in so much debt that they sold themselves into slavery. And the last way would be that they would be captives of war, which would demand their slavery. So to me, any opportunity to be free, I would gladly accept, especially under the accommodation of provision upon being freed. But there are 3 reasons given for why a person might want to remain a slave. The first one is this: they love their master. The second reason would be that they love their master's house, the family. And the third reason would be, and this is the most important, all went well while they were a slave. And I want you to think about that last reason. I want you to think about the last reason for why a person would want to remain a slave rather than being free. And I want you to think about how that affects us in our day. Now, us brothers and sisters, we're not slaves. We're not slaves per se, and at least not in the form that we have seen in previous years and in America's history and in the world's history. But I want to submit to you that indeed, many of us are slaves. And more terribly, we have Christians who are slaves. Well, let's think about it. Slavery can come in many forms. Debt is one of them, and I think it's one of the greatest slave masters in the world. Debt. It is the fact that we as people, we in a very capitalistic society, we welcome debt, and debt is seen as a norm for us. It is a major slave master. And the question is, when given the opportunity to be released from debt, why don't we take it? The answer would be, we enjoy all that has gone well with us while we were controlled by debt. In other words, we can't let go what we get while being slaves to debt. So what do? We succumb to it. We accept it. We say, okay, I'll take it. It will be great for me, better for me to be a slave to debt rather than to be free from it. And if necessary, free myself from the things that I enjoyed while in slavery. Some of us are slaves to bad relationships. We can't get out of it. We won't leave it because we, as burdensome as it is, we enjoy it more than we think we would enjoy freedom. Some of us are on bad jobs that we don't enjoy. And rather than pursuing a more fulfilling occupation, we settle for the bondage of a bad job because we feel like at least it's paying the bills. And here's the fourth one that is probably the most dangerous, but less talked about. It is sin. It is sin that binds us to things that are not good for us. It bounds us and it puts on us burdens that we're not able to carry. But we end up saying, well, at least I feel like I'm happy. At least I'm enjoying life. And really, we're not getting anything out of it. So when we look at this text in John chapter 8, here's Jesus offering to the people freedom. Them not even knowing that they're bound. And I may be talking to some people right now. You may think you're free, but if you take a long investigation of your life, you'll see you're not as free as you think. Most of us live as slaves unknowing. So when we look at this text and we find in verse number 31, Jesus offers them freedom, their response is very surprising because they respond back by saying, we are descendants of Abraham. They said, we have never been slaves to anyone. What do you mean you will be set free? In other words, they're saying, look, we're not slaves. We're living our best life. We're living the best that we could ever live. Why do you need to free us? Notice what happens here. They forgot all those years of slavery under the Egyptian empire, claiming that they had never been slaves. Some of us forget where we've come from and what we had to go through, which is why we're not cognitive of what we're in right now. Some of us have been in some things, gotten freed, but because we forgot where we were in life, we don't recognize where we have now arrived. And so today, my simple message to you is this. It's a very simple message. Be free. Stop romanticizing slavery. Stop the love affair with being bound. Stop loving being under the rule of people who cannot give you what you need, and allow Jesus to set you free. I can promise you this. If you can allow Jesus to set you free, that's when you'll really be free. That's it, brothers and sisters. That's all I have to tell you. And I hope you would allow that to marinate with you throughout this week. Be free, because Jesus has come to make you free in every aspect of your life. All right? Brothers and sisters, until next time, y'all be blessed. Lord willing, I'll get to see you next week. And if you're not busy, join us for Wednesday night Bible study. Zoom will be our place of gathering. And we'll share something with you that I hope the Lord will allow to be a blessing to you. All right, until then, take care, be blessed. And Lord willing, we'll see you next time.